English news and
and a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience, and welcome to the East West Show. Jack Chow, your host. East West Show is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers. Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of history, glorious history, I would say, and hand-forged by 10 generations of the greatest craftsmen of the earth. That stands for a testimony to the spectacular and the share of the royal glory. That brings us to the show. Today with me is my dear friend, a political commentator and a lover to the community, a lover to the American freedom. And he was, of course, the former candidate for California Senate, and he has put up with lots of great contribution to the system of democracy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jack.
And most importantly, he and I click on several issues, especially on those grassroots issues, such as the homeless, such as the vulnerable, massive people, all right, and such as social affair, and such as work compensation, such as a law reformation. Right? All those issues are the major concerns and the common concerns between him and I, which made the friendship even more solid. Right? So for that, I give you a high salute with a very high five like that.
Likewise, Jack.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. It is now about time to give a little overview or rough view about the picture for the 2020 presidential election. Even though that started, quote unquote, about a year ago already, it didn't go to very compact until recently with the debate of with the two major debates of the Democratic Party among themselves for the nomination. Right. So today, I'd like to share some of his point of views about the 2020 Democratic re-election. Please.
Thank you for having me, Jack. Mm-hmm. And our friendship is likewise, but it doesn't mean we're going to disagree on some of this serious issue.
Sure.
Especially in this election, 2020. It's a very crowded campaign, but I want to remember 2020, we have 20 candidates. They're going to participate in next debate on July 30 and 31st. Next, which in a week from now. Okay. So it's a crowded, diverse, very diverse. For first time, when we look at the faces of a candidate who's running, we can see that very different than previous elections, because we have Indian running descent, we have a Puerto Rican descent running. We have business sectors,
We have Chinese American.
We have Chinese young, running, is like yes. From Silicon Valley. So it's very diverse. We have 7 senators running for presidential, 1 vice president. We have 2 governors running. Yeah. We have 3 congressmen and women. They're running for the presidential position. Also, 2 billionaires and 1 author. It's very diverse and it's very exciting. At the same time, it's very hard to picture how this is gonna end up. Who's gonna have the chance to go to the next round? The next big round is, of course.
Let's stop there a little moment, please, because I really want to make a point with my audiences. If we compare the participation of the election at the same stage, election to election, like say, compare this year's election to 4 years ago, that election, and then 4 years ago, that election, though, we found out that that is the most diverse campaign, right?
True.
To have solicited more than any in any given point of history, that for one party you have more than 20, and there was a last record I checked, there was 25, the number was still increasing, right? Okay, my point that I want to insert it in is that, does that mean something? How come all of a sudden Americans are not the first to see a presidential election? It is a political norm. Every 4 years we do the same thing, right?
Yes.
So how come all of a sudden this one looks that important, looks that widely concerned, widely participated?
Because number one, the face of America is changing. I want you to understand, we talk about this. And it used to be, if you look at like 50 years ago at the Congress, you see all white men in the Congress, all white men, not even women's. Now it's that becomes, if you look at today Congress and the Senate, you see very diverse, voice coming from different background. We have African Americans, we have Latina, Asian, we have Judy Chu, she's representing, Asian Pacific, we have all kind of background. They are coming because, they understood that in order to have a voice in the government, you have to be in the table, in the Congress, you have to be in the Senate. So, and there's a encouragement for minorities group that, to push their own candidate, to move forward to higher level. That's exciting. That's America, that 21st century. And a lot of people, they're not happy with the America shifting to new direction, new dynamic. Some of it call it, some call it socialist, some call it leftist, but the face of America is changing. American system is not changing. We still have our system, our government is perfectly functioning. And even though sometime when Democrats lose, we start complaining, we want to change the electoral vote, we have the majority of vote, but, electoral vote, but that's normal. But this is good news for us. This is good news for Asian community. This Young is not running for a Senate. He's not running for Congress. He's running for United States President. This is something that everybody should be proud. Asian community, Chinese community, they should be proud. One of their own is running for president.
However, that stands only the one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, though, lots of people see the following, that it is time Americans have to get serious about our politics. Looking at what we have now, for example, starting with Obama, or even before Obama, we were talking about immigration reform, nothing was done. We were talking about the universal medical care, nothing was done. With Obamacare hanging, and somebody swears to overturn it. And the one overturning does not even have a plan yet. And looking around politically, conceptually, we have same-sex marriage legalized, we have marijuana legalized, we have jail early released, we have a wall issue that is still hanging, and we have immigration reform never been touched again. So, lots of people say, lots of folks say, seeing at this very moment though, with Obama saying yes we can, with Donald Trump saying the American first, make America strong again, we don't see, neither did we see the Obama change, yes we can, nor do we see America being strong again or stronger than before. So that is why the moment that it motivated more participations in the past when compared with the past. It is now. So does that make a point to you, or you have a comment on this? The other side of this coin.
You laid out, and I see and I hear from people voice frustration when you say
frustration is the word. Yes.
And how come, when it comes to election time, they promise so many things, but they can't accomplish. Let me tell you why. Politics is very complex. Promising during campaign is a lot easier than actually implementing that.
Yes, of
because
course.
Promising, you and I can come up with an idea, promise our audience, we're going to do this next 5 years. But the reality is, in order to do in a United States, we have 450 Congress, in different group, sometimes divided equally. They have to vote to pass any legislation, and then it has to go to Senate to pass. That's where the power is, player there. So, and sometimes when you have equally divided House and Senate, nothing will accomplish, regardless how convinced you are, how passionate you are with your promises. That was the Obama's problem. He was not able to bring two parties together.
Okay, let's take a short moment now. We come back to continue, because we seem to have exactly touched a very important point. Right? Stay with us. We'll be right back, please.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West Show with my dear friend, Mr. Chris Shahinian, a wonderful individual with lots of heart, a big heart to the community. And also, of course, he has a very strong opinion for the American being strong again, right? So we were at the point of talking about the characteristics of this campaign, the 2020 campaign, saying that it was unprecedented by looking at the size of candidates, right, from a Democratic Party, and also by the fact that more people are interested, at least they are talking about it, even than last 2 terms, right? So we were at the point of talking about at Obama time, according to my friend, Mr. Shahinian, everything was evenly divided. So the even division was not a helping sign or whatsoever. So back to you.
So what I was, continue, that's why Obama was forced to make executive order for Obamacare to show his, followers to that, I'm keeping my promises. But that was disaster. So, and we saw that, immediately when Trump came, they start fighting against it. Same thing did Trump. He said, we're going to build a wall, right? It was a great promise. He was able to energize his base because that was crucial for some. And what happened? In order to build the wall, you need money. Where's the money going to come? Who's going to prove it? Congress has to prove. And the appropriation committee has to prove.
Mexicans will pay.
And that was, by the way, that was a campaign promise to rally his support. And everybody knew that, Mexico was not, he doesn't have the resources to build the wall. But it worked for him. But now he's been fighting for more than 3 years to build the wall. There was no money for that. The only Congress was approved for him to some money to repair some of the walls. Basically, the reason I'm coming to you...
Not only by repair the wall, but also repairing the wall concept. In other words, the description.
Yeah,
Go for the wall
it
for the
changed
wall.
now.
It's changing now.
Completely changed
Very
now.
good, very good.
Completely changed now. Where
Sure.
we are from when first announced that he's going to running. I remember like it was June 2015. You know, Mexican rapist, blah blah blah. That's. But his statement, you know, Donald Trump. You know, some people they think he's an idiot. He was very smart. By his rhetoric, he was able to not raise enough money to win presidency, but it was able to motivate the media that gave him $5 billion access media free for him. So, and your question, 20 candidates going to promise billion things, believe me.
Oh yeah,
they are gonna promise,
they are making a list of promises.
They're going to wipe. They're going to, you know, Elizabeth Warren said, you know, I'm going to wipe all the student loan, 1.5 trillion, by the way. Another one, you know, said, oh, all medical free for all. And then one is going to, all your bills that you have, medical, I'm going to wipe it out.
Free college.
Yeah, free college, free. And where the money is going to come?
Well,
But plus, we forget people when we are short. We have short memory. We forget that, you know, again, in order to pass any legislation, it's a long process. You need bipartisan effort. You need two parties to work together. And today, Jack, unfortunately, we are more divided than ever. Basically, regardless who's going to be president, Democrat or Republican, our country is not going to go forward.
that is exactly my point. That is exactly why I stopped you just now at even touching base with you about the overall picture of this 2020 campaign. Because history has pushed us to a point that we really have to take American politics serious. It's not a child game, right? A country can no longer be that divided. That if the country is so divided that everything, almost every issue, you see people on the left and you see people on the right.
And if you look at the history, Kennedy was able to work, you know, with Republicans. You know, he was able to juggle between Democrat and Republican. Reagan did the same thing. He was able to bring bipartisan. You know, he rallied. Now, nothing is moving forward. It's the opposite. We're going backward, actually.
Now what we see,
and one of the candidates, you know, last week he said, you know, Pete, I don't remember the last name. You know, was running for president. He said, you know, this rhetoric is going to lead us to another civil war. It's going to destroy our country. How? And I see the same thing. We are going to the road that it's very dangerous, full of, you know, roadside bombs that's any moment can explode, and this is very dangerous. And Republican and Democrat, they are fueling this with their rhetorics, with their, you know, rallies, which is bringing us to a point that it doesn't matter who's going to win this president.
Now we're even at the point that division is one thing, only one thing. Whoever suggested to do the cross-line talk, gets punished first.
Yep.
For the concept, even for the ideas of talking. So, which means that under this kind of leadership, if we keep on going that way though, the word talking should be omitted. Instead, they fight.
Unfortunately,
that's very, very unhealthy, my brother.
Unfortunately, that is why our generation, we are seeing that, you know, that's why I'm going to come to your point. We should get more involved. We should, you know, raise our voices, not allow this rhetoric to divide this country. And that's the only way to stop this. And we should not allow this to go forward. But campaign time, again, it's time to show who has more guts to, now for Democrats, and they applauding whoever has more guts to say things about Trump and vice versa. Basically, this 20 and more candidates, they're going to show their strength by throwing more heavy rock to Trump to elevate themselves. It's unfortunate.
And on the other side, we see every time of the election, the incumbent parties always put a very hard fight against the incoming party to maintain their leadership,
True.
to maintain their presidency. All right. Now, do we see the same happening on the Republican side, or we see division of the Republican side too?
Well, of course, Republicans Party are divided. They're not united. But when it comes to electing president, they prefer to have Republican president than any Democrat. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
Behind the scene, yes, they are divided. And for them, President Trump, it doesn't represent the ideal candidate for 2020 Republican Party ideology. But who else? Because he's incumbent, because he has now, as we speak, more money in his pocket than any Democrat raised. Donald Trump was able to raise $56 million now, as we speak, in his bank account to campaign. That's giving him advantage. The next biggest money I have was Bernie Sanders. He has $27 million. Pete Buttigieg has $22 million. Elizabeth Warren has $19 million. See the gap? Like, 3 times more. So basically, that's
35,
giving him advantage.
17,
yes.
13. Right,
So
okay.
that's giving him a big advantage for Donald Trump, and he's the only candidate. So they're not wasting their resources for 20 candidates. They only have one candidate. Donors go to one candidate. But coming to your question, yes, Democrats are divided today. Republicans are divided because our country is divided, Jack.
Yeah.
Our country.
That is the major
our
concern.
Our country is divided.
That
our
is major
ideology
concern.
is divided.
Yes.
They put a knife and they cross it in the middle and say, either you have left or right. There's no. America survived with the middle. America survived with people like Kennedy, people like Reagan, not with people left or right. But unfortunately, we covered this so many times. I'm a Democrat. I support my party, but this is not the direction that we're supposed to go. Look at the candidates.
You're right.
Look at the candidate that we have, and look at the some of the candidates. They're raising a lot of money because they lean toward socialism.
In other words, the question is that are you campaigning for your party? Or are you campaigning for United States? That is question should be asked to every of the candidate.
And the beauty is that as a United States citizen, you can belong to any party, Republican or Democrat. When it comes to ballot, you're free to choose.
I don't argue with you on that.
Yes.
I do agree with you. It is our privilege to keep that right. It is our freedom under the Constitution, right?
Yes.
However, at a typical point, a specific point in history when this country is so divided, you'd better be running for United States of America rather than for your own party.
Yep. If I'm a Democrat, if I have a Reagan running today, I will vote for President Reagan. If I was Republican, if I see Kennedy running, I will vote for Kennedy because
very good.
That's the way we should look.
Very good.
That's
yes.
the way. That's
yes.
the way is
yes,
America
you're
supposed
right.
to
You're
be.
right. You're right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not. The party line is important to a certain level.
If Ronald Reagan should be in the Republican Party, though, I would vote for him.
That's what I'm saying.
And even lots of
Probably
Republicans.
a lot of people, they're not going to like what I'm saying. That's fine. No. That's the way I am.
Even Democrats will. Some of you, even Democrats, will vote for him because that stands for you are really running your campaign for the country, not for your own party.
True.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree. We agree. We're on the same page.
Okay, my dear friends. Through discussion, we came to one conclusion at least regarding this 2020 election, that we want to make sure that our candidates are running for United States of America, which is the #1 country on the global earth, rather than running for their own little teeny tiny party, right? So that is the point for you, for me, for everybody to make your own judgment. So make sure you do see the difference between running for the United States of America and running for their teeny tiny party. All right, so let's take a moment out. We come back to continue exactly. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go about candidates.
Let's go one by one, probably, if time allow, right? So we will be right back, please, my dear friends.
Everything is expected and straight. It's like the scenes on waves.
My name is Paul James. I host English News.
And the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. I would say, my dear fellow Americans, welcome back to the show, because we're talking about the 2020 presidential election. Every 4 years we see that. Every 4 years we exercise ourselves the right of democracy, the right to vote the one that we believe would lead this country, great country, to greater. So, is our country getting greater? I don't know. That's why we are doing this election, right? And of course, that's why Donald Trump is running for his re-election. Should he succeed? I don't know either. With me today is my dear friend, Mr. Chris Shahinian, a former candidate for California Senate. He has lots of political views. He has lots of comment that is so valuable that I would recommend that even people from the other side of the aisle would take a look. Only when you put down your air, only when you sit down out of nowhere with totally forgetting your party lines, you will take a serious look at everybody else's opinion, and only by taking a look at everybody else's opinion can you be clear-minded, can you know, can you vote sober-mindedly? Okay, back to the point. We have so many, in other words, we have more than we can handle as candidates on the list, though. So far, we have Joe Biden as a former vice president. We have Bernie Sanders as the current senator.
Yes.
And we have so many of them representing each corner of the ethnic groups.
True.
Right? So, which is a good picture. So, among them, how are you impressed?
Well, some of the candidates are new faces, coming, and I like that because that's our democracy. It's by the way, it's anybody, United States citizen, you can run. If you age qualify, you can run for president. But having said that, it's very easy to become a candidate for president.
Yeah, to register.
But it's hard to maintain to be serious candidate. That's why before I go to names, I'm going to separate for two groups, and who has a chance, who doesn't have chance, why some of them they have chance, why some of them they don't have chance. I have to go.
Or shall we divide them by using two terms, the candidate group and the amateur group?
Okay, well, we can do that. We can. But before I go there, I have to give you 4 pillars of how you can win a campaign. It's very short. When we talk about Biden and others, we understand. That's why this has a chance, or the other candidate has no chance. The 4 pillars to winning any election: small election, city council, state, or presidential. There's 4 important pillars. First one is the candidate.
The candidate.
The candidate itself, his character, his accomplishment, his values, all this thing, what he has done. So sometimes character doesn't matter.
Hold right there.
Sometimes doesn't matter.
For your character to be seen, money goes first.
Well, I'm going to come.
Without money, you do not even have a character.
You wait until I finish.
Okay, sure.
So
I'll wait.
Number one is the candidate, what his accomplishment. That's going to
Okay.
be your bio. Number 2 is your platform. What are you proposing? Are what you're proposing, it's going to rally your grassroots. They're going to come support you. Because if you're running for small city council, for example, Glendora, you know the issues are. It's either going to be water issue or electric bill or park issue, small thing. When you're running for state,
Yeah.
it a little bit become more
issues are getting
complicated.
bigger.
Yeah. When you're running for presidential,
Even
one
bigger.
side is Vermont, the other side is Florida, the other side is Baja California, and then Alaska. You have a huge different issues.
Large
How are you going to pick?
And you have the whole world. To
Yeah,
play.
how are you going to pick issue campaign platform? That's what a lot of, if you look at the Pete Buttigieg, he's not laying out his platform because he's afraid if anything he said, they're going to bombard him. Some of them, they are opening a little bit for what they're going to do. But number 2 pillar is campaign because that's the way people, they're going to support you. For example, Elizabeth Warren said, I'm going to wipe your student loan. A lot of students are getting excited, right? So number 3 pillars is to have a campaign team. Team is important. Because a team is going to be, they are the messenger. They're going to go across the country. They're going to raise funds. So come for your point.
All right.
And when I was running city council, I had staff of 1 paid staff, 4 volunteers. They did the job. For the state, 10 is not enough, 5 is not enough, you need 20. When you're running for presidential, you need big staff every corner
Of course,
and
yes.
staff. Number 4 is finance. Without money, you cannot win a campaign. This is a 4 pillar.
All right, okay.
Now, why I said this layout is we're going to go one by one where they
All right,
stand.
okay, all right,
Number 1, we start who has the most money.
Let me do a little insertion, okay?
Okay.
I would like to make one statement. I totally would agree with you with your 1 pillar, pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3, pillar 4. However, my only difference between you and me is that I would want to put money first. Because whatever you do, you have to have money. Otherwise, you do not even have a candidate.
True. Well, let me say, a lot of people,
Yeah.
I have to give you, a lot of people, they start with little money.
Yeah.
And
I've been
as-
working here for this many years, and I have a platform, I have a beautiful mind, and I have a beautiful plan for the country.
Yes.
But who the hell will know who I am?
True.
If I do not have enough money.
True,
Right?
but this is like it's not concrete. This is my.
Yeah,
you can
I know.
add 5.
I know, yeah,
you can
yeah.
add 6.
Sure,
pillar.
sure. Uh-huh.
But now that we're going to talk about who's prepared
Okay.
to do the job,
All right,
we're
good,
going to look
good.
at the numbers, right?
Uh-huh.
We're going to look who has more money. You know who has the more money? The
Who?
young mayor, 36-year-old Pete Buttigieg. He has $25 million in his account. What does that mean? That means he can hire staff. He can have big staff. He can payroll. He can send his message. Start sending message. Number 2, as we're talking about money, and then we're gonna go who has a bigger staff.
Who before you're saying?
Pete. He has $24 million in his account. He's a mayor, unknown mayor. Yes, unknown mayor. And I know where his money coming from. It's LGBT community. It's all supporting him because he's the only.
I promise you, because of that, you're going to hear about him more.
Yes, I guarantee you. That's what. Look,
All right.
look, he's on
See.
top of the list.
All right, good.
He's on top of the list. This is
Okay.
not my list. This is like
Yeah. All right,
and
yeah.
number 2 is Vice President Joe Biden. He
Okay.
has in his account $22 million in his account.
Joe Biden
Joe
only
Biden.
number 2?
Yeah, as far as money, and we're gonna go later how many staff he has because staff is important. You don't have staff, you can have money.
Oh, of course.
If you don't have
Yeah,
staff,
yeah.
it doesn't matter. So Joe Biden is vice president. He's everybody knows pillar number 1. Yes, complete, correct. He has the a resume. He has a platform, sort of. Staff, we're going to look later on, and he has some money to push his agenda.
All right.
And this is my projection. Probably, if everything goes right, because Joe Biden has the support of elite Democratic group. He is going to be nominee for Democratic Party. It doesn't mean I agree. It doesn't mean I want him to be.
I see.
But I
That's
think
the logic,
looking from what's happening, Democratic Party, they're going to push for, and later I'm going to give you an analysis how they should play their game. And number 3, Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is very sharp. Very sharp. He fight against banking system. She was a professor, law professor. She knows a lot. And 2 years ago, during Democratic Party convention, when you came to the room, she has welcomed like rock star welcome. That's how popular she is in Democratic Party. Everybody loves her because she has charisma. She has the courage. Sometimes she's offline, but she's very, very well prepared to be as VP, not the president. So again, we don't know what happened. And number 4, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, he has 18 million in his account. 18 million is a lot of money. 4 years ago, Bernie Sanders was the star of the Democratic Party. Even he was not a Democrat. He was a star. Because his idea was so fresh, so appealing, that he was able even to divide Democratic Party. But today, that's not the same. Because a lot of people, they adopting his philosophy. Kamala Harris, she's like kind of taking some of Bernie Sanders' idea. Elizabeth Warren getting so. Bernie Sanders, he doesn't have the same excitement in his group than 2016. It doesn't mean he's out of race. He's running good campaign.
Let's take a short moment out. We come back to how about put the 4 together. Now that we agree to touch base with money, we put them into 1, 2, 3, 4 places. And then next thing we want to do is we compare their issues.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
Good. Because we can't afford going through everyone.
True. There's a lot of good candidates.
Yeah, sure.
They have
and
some of them they don't even have money.
Yeah. Plus they might belong to the amateur group.
Yeah, they are.
Right. So,
that's what
stay with us. We'll be right back, please, my dear friends.
Everything is expected to change. It's like it seems wrong way.
My name is Paul James. I host this news
and the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences, my dear brothers, sisters, and my fellow citizens of the United States. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, and today is the first time we officially touch base with you about the 2020 presidential election issues. And from today on, we will be doing more of this show. Oh, by the way, while you're here now, if we probably, looking into the schedule, we have only 1 segment left, and yet we have 20 of them, right? So I would like to see if sometime next week we can do the same thing.
Well, I think this could be continuous. Next week we have a
let's do it.
A debate. July 30, it's going to be first 10 group. They're going to have the CNN. It's going to host, and July 31st it's going to be second group. I think if you want before the debate or after the debate, we can do either one.
Well, let's do it after.
After
right?
debate,
well,
once we
so when we're done, let's work out a schedule.
Yes,
all right?
we can do that. So,
all right, very good. So to see, to convince ourselves that the money is the key issue. Without the money, regardless what kind of plans you have to save the country, well, you'd better take it easy, right? Now, with the discussion with my dear friend, Mr. Chris Shahinian, former candidate for California Senate, we come to a clearer picture that even though we have that many candidates altogether running for the same position, we are reaching to the point that they have to, within the party, nominate one person.
Well,
And who the one person should be, right?
yes, that's again as far as Democratic Party rules and regulation, they have to go to debate. In order to qualify for debate, you have to have 1% of the on a poll. You have to have in 20 states fundraise. So all this 20 qualified people, they were able to pass that threshold. Some of them they couldn't make it. They're out.
The prerequisites.
Yeah. And there's two major events that's going to happen. One is the next debate, July 30 and 31st. And right after, about a year from there, it's going to be a lot of campaigning. There's 2020, July 13 and 16 in Wisconsin. It's going to be the Democratic Party convention. That's where they delegate 5,000 delegates. They nominate the president.
They finalize that very
Yes,
one.
that nominee, vice president, and vice. That's a long way to go.
Long way to
but
go.
for now, I think I'm going to focus, as you said. We keep the amateurs out, at least for just benefit of respect. I want to name them if you don't mind, so they don't say, "Oh, you don't even mention my name." I want to start, Mayor. I'm going to give very quick. The mayor, New York mayor, is running for Ryan, Gabbard, Williamson, Bennett, Young, Inslee, Hickenlooper, Moulton, Swalwell, Bullock, Castro, Delaney, Gillibrand, Klobuchar, O'Rourke, Buttenberg, Harris, Hooker, Biden, Sanders, Warren. So we're going to talk about first five, correct? And the reason I said, who has a bigger staff?
Yeah.
Warren has, Elizabeth Warren, he has 330 people, staff, payroll. You know what that mean? That means they are everywhere in United States running, sending the message out about Elizabeth Warren. The second in command is Sanders. He has 282 payroll staff, as we speak, knocking the doors, working, rallying grassroots. Number 3 is Biden. He has 193. It doesn't mean that's not good, but Biden can hire because the money can come to him anytime. Hooker is 175. Kamala Harris has 163 people working. This young, senator, she's doing great, and O'Rourke has 108. So on so. So the reason I mentioned those, we can see. Oh, now that we know who has chance, correct? If you have only 5 staff, for example, mayor of New York, he has only 5 staff. There's no way you can reach around the United States
of course,
with 5. There's no way,
yeah.
correct? Am I right? We're not judging.
However, we have to be aware of one fact. Remember that during the previous election, how Obama won?
Yes.
Because of the internet. Now,
Let me tell you, Obama has, this time he had 500 people working for him as a payroll. See?
All right.
So he signed, Obama knew, wow, I need a staff working. So he has double than what anybody has. That's the key.
I know, even the five members, if they operate right though, that can be 500. They operate the right way, using the internet.
They can.
So now, from a conventional point of view, of course, we're comparing who has the larger troops.
Yeah,
right?
And money. So
Right,
it
money.
has to go hand in hand.
Money and troops,
Money
right?
and troops. You don't
Money
have
and
money, you
troops
can hire more people.
And then, on the second consideration, though, with the money there, though, the same amount of money, who has the better
chance?
Better chance lies in the fact that who has better hands.
Yeah.
And the better hands comes from a point of who can utilize the IT time, right, to make really something, it's undefeatable. You can make something within 2 seconds known to 20,000 people.
But now everybody knows that, Jack.
Yeah, sure.
Back then, Obama was like, wow, new. Now everybody's using the same thing, text messaging. I'm getting email 2 times a day from Joe Biden, our vice president. I'm getting email every 2 days from Kamala Harris. She's bombarding us, every kind of, social media. So everybody's using that. So what I'm saying,
I was receiving. I did receive an invitation of Joe Biden's lunch last weekend.
he was
Because
he was here Saturday. He was in Pasadena.
Yeah, I declined because I did not have the money.
Yeah, you have to have a big pocket too.
I don't want to go there like a loafer with no money. No.
This is the time.
Either you do not go or you go with money.
True. If
Now
you
that you
don't
don't have money, you better stay home with your wife.
You
That's
can't
it.
have a picture. You can't have a
Nah,
So
no.
basically,
Yeah.
that's what they raise money now. So and big donors rally behind. They look at this, who has the chance, because everybody wants influence. Big money owners, they want influence.
We have very limited time now. With the limited time, can we just, in a quick way, do some issue comparisons?
Sure.
All right. So, in between, I prefer to do with Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
Right? When you put them together, who has a better policies in your mind, though?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie
Go
Sanders
ahead.
for sure.
Go ahead, please.
Because number one, even though Bernie Sanders is sometimes, it depends where you're coming from. You can see him as a crazy communist guy. He's not communist, by the way.
Socialist.
Yeah, but you can call him socialist because his vision is.
And he called himself socialist.
Yeah, so it's nothing wrong with that. But if you look at his 10 years before, 15 years, this guy was saying the same thing over and over. So he does believe what he's saying. It doesn't mean that's going to happen because, as we said again at the beginning of the show, in order to pass anything, you need bipartisan effort. So all his promises saying nothing can be accomplished without working with Republican Party. But he does have solid platform, but it doesn't mean that's excite elite Democratic Party. So because Democratic Party even, there's a group that, centrist Democratic, there's Democratic left. We have a small group of bulldog Democrat, we call it bulldog. It's, a little bit toward, but now as we speak, Democratic Party engine is the more toward the left, the engine of Democratic Party, progressive, that's why I believe Biden has more better platform than Sanders has better. But Biden has the name, Biden has Obama's elite. So if you put two together, 2020, Biden is going to shine. Trump, because Sanders is going to be second. But for Democratic Party, Elizabeth Warren, she has some ideas. She's raising tax 2%, net worth over. She's going to make $1 billion anybody makes. So she's going to make $2.75 trillion in 10 years.
There is also another fact that I just checked before we started the show, though, on the Twitter accounts, right?
Oh, yeah, that's big.
Bernie Sanders had 8.7 million.
Yes, oh, yeah, good
whereas Joe Biden had 1.7.
Yes.
8.7 versus the 1.7. That's between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's powerful. And those first five, they do have, but Sanders, because, again, those grassroots, crazy.
Which means the concept points or the plan, call it plan, not a plan yet anyway, those little dots of concept are more accepted by tweeters.
Yes, this is built up since 2016. It's not new, by the way. So,
No, it's new.
Yeah.
It's new. The 8.7 and 1.7, these are the new.
The audience, the audience that 8 million has been built since 2016. It's been
build up.
So it's
Build
not,
up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a new. I would check, by the way.
And because Joe Biden started late.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders was there ever since the last election.
Yeah.
So he has a longer span.
And some of the candidates, I'm sure you see, they have only 100,000 followers. I mean, you can't send your message out.
Which means nothing.
You can't send. I have maybe more than 10,000. Maybe you have more. So that shows.
That indicates, my dear friend, free college, right? Free healthcare. Those issues really sell.
Really sell. And again,
Sell good time.
Like this is like a Mexican wall they're going to pay with. Same thing, same concept. So I'm being very honest.
You're worried about
being very honest.
where to get the money.
Yes, I'm being very honest. Those statements, all probably the intention is right. Their intention is right, but to make it happen, to come up with $1.5 trillion to pay student loan, that's where it's going to come. We don't have that money. We don't have money, $5 billion to build the wall. $5 billion, we don't have it. How are we going to bring that to $1.5 trillion? But this is campaign promise.
However, there is always a chance of swapping around, right? Swapping around to make it happen.
To bring money, you're going to tax the rich. If you tax the rich,
No. With the existing money, you play around.
Okay.
All right? You cut off unnecessary spendings.
You know what? 60% of our annual budget goes to military. If you touch that, you'll be disappeared. I'm telling you. You cannot touch our defense budget. Anybody, whoever, how strong you are, the minute you talk, because that's where the big chunk of money going from our
Defense budget is one thing, all right? Even with the given money, with the given defense money, which is locked already, right? With the remaining 30% of something, of the money, still swappable, you can do a better job.
If you're going to do that, you have to do it, right. You cannot say, this segment untouchable. We can only get money from education. No, we have to look into.
Of course,
we have to look.
If you do it wrong, you get a bullet in your head.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, but this is reality. But let's wrap this. So we're going to talk.
Yeah, the whole
more.
thing. Yes.
I think for Democratic Party coming to the convention next, this is the best scenario they can do. Joe Biden. This is my position. Maybe completely could be all wrong. Joe Biden is going to be a nominee. I believe he should choose Kamala Harris as a VP, Elizabeth Warren as Secretary of State, Bernie Sanders or Defense. That's where they can rally.
Don't forget, so far, our discussion is based on the fact that Donald Trump is not being reelected.
No, what we're talking. Yeah, no. We're talking about the Democratic convention. This is the convention they're going to choose.
Exactly.
So we're not talking about election. We're talking up to Democratic convention, and then we're going to see who's going to be what.
Yeah, I know.
But interiorly, this is what they can do, Democratic Party, in order not to divide, in order to avoid the same mistake that we did in 2016. They can interiorly say, okay, come on, guys, okay. Joe Biden, let's put Joe Biden front runner. He has all the qualification. Elizabeth Warren has the message, interior. You can be Secretary of State. Harris, you knowledge, you can rally the youth.
Yeah, of course.
Rally,
of course.
and the female, bring it in. Bernie Sanders, you know what? You're going to be defense minister. How about that?
Yeah, let's build out the cabin. Let's build out the cabin.
Yeah,
right? We can build out the cabin for the best interest of this country.
Yeah, this is my theory. It doesn't mean that's work. It doesn't mean that's right. But this is like,
my good friend, we're kind of entertaining ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
That I can see. All right, my dear friend, my lovely audience, we're over time, but we know it is worth it, and yet we plan to see you the same time next week. And still with my friend Chris Shahinian, we want to continue talking about every single one of the candidate, and that will probably the time past the second debate already on the 30th and the 31st. That probably will give us a better look. So we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.